Dan RadioStyle. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. Thinking for ourselves, right? Law of attraction. The whole power behind the law of attraction really is encompassed within the whole concept of thinking for ourselves. And oddly, thinking for ourselves is something that I think a lot of us don't like doing. And it was something I thought would be fun to talk about because, one, good to bring attention to it, but two, for people out there right now that are like, what's up with this law of attraction stuff? Is it legit? What's going on with it? I mean, is anyone else using it? Do any famous people use it? Why are all these people labeled crazy, right? Labeled crazy. And usually that's kind of common when you start getting off into some of the fray things, and some maybe are crazy, but I've actually found too that when you find certain paths where maybe some of the secrets of life are, a lot of the times you're crazy because you're going a place no one else is. Like I've said before, one of the things I've used in life is where everybody else is tending to go, I usually go somewhere else. One, I don't like crowds, just really don't. Two, generally everybody else is being led astray. I don't know if you guys have noticed that or not, but I generally am like, all right, so everyone else has got that covered. It's like an Easter egg hunt, right? Like 80% of the flock goes running off into one direction for the Easter egg hunt. You're like, well, let me go over here. I mean, who knows? Maybe one rolled down a hill or like I got a better chance of finding something of substance over here. So the question is why? Why do people talk bad about it? Why do people wonder about it? Why do people fight it? So I don't know. I thought we'd do a fun little thing. But culturally, it seems, I don't know, you kind of go back. I don't know if it's religious. I would probably say that's where a lot of it stems from. Ultimately, is you had religious leaders, right? And then leaders. And pretty much whatever they said was it. You didn't question. And in some cultures, heck, if you questioned, you die, right? Like, I mean, there's just some crazy things that can happen to you if you go down odd paths. So the idea was don't question. You are told how it is. This is how it is. Do not question. Do not deviate. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. And I guess that worked for a period of time because a lot of people just blindly followed, didn't care. I guess life was good. I don't know. I just know how crazy I am, right? Like in school, I went to a private school even at one point, religious private school. And man, I'm like the dude asking questions. They did not like me. And I'm extremely spiritual, but I started punching holes in my religion very quickly and said, nah, this is crap. I'm sorry. And I love, don't get me wrong. Anyone that's, more power to you. Don't get me wrong. For me, it didn't work. I felt that my relationship with Source was deeper and broader than what I was being limited by within religion. So again, when I was looking at people that are saying, this is how it is, and I'm like, wait, hang on wait a minute, really? And then what about this situation? And no, again, so there was too many holes to punch. So again, it was one of those things where I realized, all right, let's start looking at life through my own eyes. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm not saying I know more than anybody else, but I will say I'm inquisitive. I will say I notice things, and I will say I have learned some amazing, amazing stuff and actually done and experienced some stuff that pretty crazy. So life has been very interesting for me, and I really attribute a lot of it to opening up. So when we're being told to question nothing, I first say, question everything. Question everything. Relearn it. If you already know it, if we already know it's true, great. But if everybody's saying something, I tell you, I mean, honestly, if everybody's saying something, I tend to take a step back from it and go, okay, it's weird. Why is everybody so on board? What's going on? It's too strange when suddenly the masses are in agreement. Masses as a whole are sheeple. There's no different. I mean, it's a herd mentality, and this is not to insult individuals. Individuals are fine, but individuals and groups of people, like when you get groups of individuals, they act like herds, and so they're very easy to kind of shift in directions. So, like I said, I'm always leery whenever I see large quantities of bulls traveling down the road. It's like, all right, get out of the way. Get out of the way. I'm going to go a different direction. Not the way to go. So question everything. Now, I also think there was a bit of a cultural thing, too, in relationships, that patriarchal thing. And I'm not trying to, go into SAW or any of this kind of, I'm not woke, none of that kind of stuff. I'm just saying there was a very patriarchal aspect of society. Obviously, that's shifting, which is cool. It's neat to see. But there's a very patriarchal part of it where the man was in charge. And some of that stems from religion. Again, all these things kind of come from the same place. So these same kinds of people are the ones that are telling us LOA is crazy. At least that's how I've seen it. So again, when lots of people say, you're crazy for doing that, I'm like, all right, I need to check it out. Again, I almost do the opposite of what the sheeple are doing. So, and that's just me. And now again, I don't believe everything 100%. And I will tell you right now, I don't think it's a good idea to believe anything 100%. In fact, I don't think there's a source out there. And yes, I even include Neville Goddard. And I bet if you spoke to Neville, he'd probably say, no, like I've changed through time. Like what I said then, I'd probably say it a little different right now. Like, yeah, the core of it, I totally believe. 80% of it, yeah, still 100% on board. But 20% of it, not so much on board, right? I'm 100% on board of 80%. It's kind of funny if you think about it. So you've got to keep in mind the fact that not all these sources are going to be 100% accurate. Don't read anything like it's the gospel. And, I don't even think you should read the gospel like it's 100%. I think things have been written and rewritten and translated and retranslated. And, so nothing is exactly as it was. So let's just kind of dismiss that for a moment. I mean, maybe it's got most of it, whatever. I'm not trying to debate. But I do know that there's a source that I've read a few times. I've talked about it a bunch. And the guy that's really, really studied it, someone I've followed for a number of years, it's called Law of One or Law of Ra, depends. But, this thing is channeled material. And so right off the bat, many people can question, right? Am I nuts? I don't know. I've checked all sorts of stuff out. But you can read it. And I don't even think, and he said 80% accurate, and he considered it one of the most accurate channeled materials out there. And I probably would say 75, 80%. I mean, it really jived with a lot of other things that I've read and that are out there. So it was kind of fascinating. So it kind of opens up aspects, doorways, understandings. So again, when you find something that everybody's like, it's crazy, all right, check it out and see what it's about. And one of the coolest things about this whole concept of thinking for yourself is that in trying it, the difference between saying, hey, Joe, how does that work? And I just did it. Oh my God, that was awesome, are night and day. Whatever Joe says, whatever Joe says, whatever these people say, I don't know why, whatever these people say, it doesn't matter what someone says. What matters is your experience of it. I mean, I've talked about different techniques in other videos. The reason there's so many techniques is because not everything works the same for everybody else. Not everybody walks to the same beat as the same drummer. It's not that a technique isn't a good technique. It's that some techniques are effective for you. Some techniques are effective for me. And vice versa. Like there's certain things I'm just not as good at. Like I don't like writing as much. I actually like journaling. It's kind of different in my mind, but I don't like trying to write a creative story. Right? But I'll get on here and I'll try to create something with words, or I'll get up on stage and try to I love to create. I just don't like doing it in the written word. I write. I don't like the way I write. I think it's because I was told that way, but I just very conversational. It's the way I write. And some people think that's not good. So whatever. I don't write. I talk. And believe it or not, talking conversationally is apparently okay. So yeah, I tried that out. But when you get a chance to try something, when you get a chance to walk down that path on your own, when you get a chance to experience it with your own eyes, now you know. Now, maybe they are crazy. Maybe they're not crazy. That's always the option to consider, right? But trying it with your own eyes gives you a chance to understand it from your own perspective. Then you can be like most of us, question your sanity, because there's still going to be those people that are like, it's a bunch of hooey, but you've done it so many times that it coincidentally seems to work all the time, oddly. Then, maybe there's something to it. Now, oddly, there's a few famous people that use law of attraction. You might have heard of some of them. Let's Beyonce. One of her things is always focused. Always focused. Focus-based universe, right? Yeah. So Beyonce, she's crazy, apparently. What about Kanye West? #1 fan. And he's right. You love yourself. You've got to be your number one fan first before anybody else. How about Katy Perry? Might have heard of her. She sings a lot. Yeah, a lot of good songs out there. A Grammy Award vision board. She has a vision board for her Grammy, or her Grammys. That's Katy Perry. Crazy, of course. I mean, she's barely successful. Maybe Lady Gaga. Yeah, the fame was inside her. This is what she was letting out. She realized all along that the fame was inside of her. What about Conor McGregor, like a major fighter? Oh, God, incredible, I guess. The importance of gratitude is his mantra. It's what he lives by. Conor McGregor, a fighter, nonetheless, is very grateful. Almost contrary in its own way. Jim Carrey, very, very famous comedic actor. Power of visualization. It's inside of us. All these things are law of attraction techniques. Oprah Winfrey, might have heard of her. The richest, to my understanding, lady that's out there, certainly from entertainment. She's worth over $1 billion. LOA advocate, big time. She was the secret involved with all that stuff. She's amazing. What about Will Smith? Maybe you've heard of him. The Fresh Prince of the Universe is his mantra, which I thought was pretty cool. Steve Harvey, another very, very famous individual in the United States. The law's biggest fan. Once again, you've got to be that big fan. You've got to be a fan of yourself. Another crazy person, of course. How about Denzel Washington? How about Arnold Schwarzenegger? Idris Elba. I'm not sure who she was. I forgot. I was going to look up some of these people and put the pictures initially when I was going to do this video, but nah. But she's believed to achieve. That's her big thing. What about Diddy? The power of words. The power of words. Carrie Walsh, Misty May Trainer. I don't remember who they are. Oh, the dudes from LMFAO too. Those guys were apparently they're really big into law of attraction, and I actually love those guys. I wish I could play more music, and I would. But so again, are we crazy? I don't know. Here's a bunch of successful, crazy people that intentionally do this stuff. They use law of attraction. So what the point was from minute one, thinking for ourselves. Don't just take what others say. If you're interested in something, read about it. Read it open-minded. Read it from a, standpoint of, I'm not just going to believe this wholeheartedly, but open up to it. See what's there. Give it a try. As long as you don't have to, kill anybody or anything crazy, right? As long as no harm needs to be done to any others, you just get to try some different mind tricks, right? Little Jedi mind tricks, and then stuff coincidentally starts happening. All of a sudden you see a beach ball on the side of the road when you're driving to work. You're like, no way, that's my beach ball. And it was in a weird place. It was on the side of a main road. Like, I never ever saw a beach ball there ever again. Right? Like never in my whole entire life. One time, and it just happened to be like a day or two after I did my little thing. So it was very awesome. So thinking for yourself, trying it for yourself, giving it its comeuppance, giving it a chance, and then decide. You may think it's crazy after. One example I love to talk about. This is one of my favorite things to talk about as far as a crazy thing that I totally read because I was open. I was curious. I was curious what they were talking about because it was such an absurd idea, which is, of course, and I apologize if I offend anybody. Sorry if any of my people out there are part of this group, and we can have discussions. I just don't believe it. There's parts of it, though, that I can see where you guys come from. But the flat earth theory, I was just fascinated with that. I'm like, how can, so yeah, anyway, looked into it. It's a good one. They've got some very interesting stuff. They've got a couple places where I think, I don't know if it holds up very well. And then there's actually been people in space, but then that requires you to believe stuff. And so I get it. Sometimes you can't do it. Sometimes you can. Sometimes you're into something so deeply that you can't get out. I've seen it before. It's like quicksand maybe. But that being said, I opened up to it, checked it out. I just think it's a good thing. I don't follow everything, but I certainly am curious, and I look into things, and I check it out for myself. And then I talk about it sometimes even. And that gives you that experience. That's the difference. When you've done something, you've got wisdom. When you've read about it, you have knowledge. Wisdom is superior to knowledge. It's knowledge in action, and that makes it vastly more useful and helpful. And it's a dimensionally different component. You can have knowledge all you want, but the second you actually do something, night and day, and talking to someone, you can tell the difference. So give it a try. Think for yourself. Hopefully this helps. Law of attraction makes a big difference. Dan Radio Style.